Another round of Game of Geeks with Peter Rojas from Engadget and Jonathan Abrams from Nuzzle and Jason Calacanis from Inside.com. But first, let's start with the hot topics of the day. And one thing I'm thinking is very interesting as a follow-up. We had talked on this show, and we did a triangulation with the folks from verifiedvoting.org about election rigging. We did it before the election. And I've been asking the question, was there any election rigging? Not because I'm unhappy with the results. That's not it at all. I'm just curious. We had heard that maybe the Russians were able to get into election machines. We know that some states are still using a very unreliable, eminently hackable system of direct electronic voting. And in fact, one of those states and many of the counties that were involved in the swing voting were using that system. So a number of computer science professors are asking the campaigns, whether it's the Clinton campaign or the Trump campaign, seems more likely to be the loser than the winner, but are asking the campaigns to ask the states for a recount, because that's not because they think it will change the result of the election. They say, we don't know, we can't possibly know. This is J. Alex Halderman, who's saying, you know, it absolutely could, the polls were wrong because of hidden Trump voters or whatever, etc. But just to reassure everyone, given the threat of hacking at the beginning before the election, we would like to get an audit. Now, the paper trail audits are fairly easy to do. You can do spot checking, as we talked about on our show, of the electronic vote, and then see if the electronic vote matches what a paper recount would give you. But you see those blue counties there? Those are the ones that are doing a paperless voting system. That means there's no paper trail, and we said many, many times that is a very risky way to vote. California eliminated that in 2007, so there's always a paper trail. Most states did, but you see it in a few places. And so what they would require there is what we call a forensic analysis, which would be a much deeper, more complicated, and more expensive analysis. Halderman points out the campaign that asks for the recount has to pay for it. It could go into the millions of dollars. I don't know how likely this is. But
it would also distract from, I mean, I think the incoming governmental officials would say that it's distracting from the transition.
Right. So, you know, I think I would like to see this done just to reassure us. I think we could stipulate we're not going to change the result of the vote, that's fine, but just to reassure us that there wasn't any hacking. Given the threat of Russian and other hacking of these machines, I think that's fairly important. Anyway,
how much of that system is actually connected to the network at large, so that it would be accessible in that way in a grand scale?
This is one of the questions I asked Ron Rivest and the folks at Verified Voting. There are, in fact, some machines connected to the internet, but that's not the problem. If you go to that Medium piece by Halderman, there's actually a video. It's very easy. The way these systems work, these direct voting systems, like that Diebold system work, is...
Oh, it's ancient.
It's ancient. Well, it's 15 years old. You take a memory chip and you put it in a desktop computer at the Registrar of Voters office. That has the ballot on it. You copy that information over to the memory chip, put the memory chip into each individual Diebold voting machine to set it up. What Professor Halderman's saying is trivially easy to hack the desktop computer. They're not very well secured in such a way that that chip could contain malware that would then be spread to each and every voting machine as they copied the ballot over.
As they are interconnected within the place, right?
Right. And by the way, this is a demonstration of how to do it. It's well known how to do it. It's easy to do. In fact, he says I could do it. My graduates could do it if we were criminals. We won't. We couldn't. But we know how to do that.
Right.
And even to the point where you could erase the malware after the election. So the malware would self-erase, so it would be undetectable. So a forensic analysis is a tricky thing to do. I still think I would like to do that. And frankly, let's get rid of these direct voting electronic machines that don't have a paper trail, because that's not safe. That's not good. All right, so moving on.